had been in a car accident. I was a senior in high school, been out. Anyway, had a car accident and I got a slight brain concussion. Actually, it was probably more than a slight. I was in a coma for 5 days. So they took me to ER and I'm in the ICU in the hospital. And I could just laying there in a coma and I could hear people talking and everything. I could feel pain in my head. And just, I was just, I could, because my spirit was tuned into everything, of course. But I just couldn't speak and I kept wanting to speak. And then at some point, I guess my head, I feel like the pain got to bother me and I just wanted to get up. I was just so determined to get up. And I just got up. I thought I did get up. My body didn't. But I got up and I'm just feeling wonderful. I said, man, this is great. I feel great, and I'm just gliding because you really don't walk. Your spirit just glides. And I'm just moving all around there. And for some reason I sensed or I knew that I had dirt in my hair possibly. And so I went over to the vanity there where the mirror is and I could see the hairbrush. And so I reached to pick up the hairbrush and my hand just went right through it. It just kept going. That was the most frustrating. What? Why can't I pick this up? And I'm looking at myself, but I was pale, like, spirit form. And I was wondering about that. And I thought, this is odd, but boy, this feels great. And I look and I see in the reflection in the mirror, someone laying in a bed. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, who is that? And so I approach over there to my body and I'm lifting myself up, come on, like I want to get my body, let's go. And nothing happening. So I thought, well, I'm not getting back in that body. I just maneuvered away. I said, okay, I'm not getting back in there. Then I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And I move so freely. It's almost like you do have control, but it's so freely that you're very careful. And so I go over to the doorway of the room and I just look out the hall and then I see, of course, I see all kinds of things because I'm really seeing into the spirit world, not knowing. I'm seeing people, but I'm also seeing spirits. And just kind of bizarre. And then I see this train of people walking by, but my grandpa, who had died about 6 months before that, he's at the head of this. And he's waving for, come on. And he looked older, like he would have, before he died. And there was a train of young people behind him. This blonde-headed girl, just remember her standing out. She's going around my age, come on, follow us, come on. And for some reason, I just did not trust that automatically. And I thought, I don't know. Why would my grandpa, I'm reasoning, why would my grandpa be with these people here? And what would he be saying? I just thought, I don't know. I'm afraid of that. What if I can't get back here to my body? If I move where were they going? I was just very suspicious. So I just kind of made up my mind, no, I'm not going. I don't trust that. And as soon as I did that, it was almost like, now that I've said no to that, now the other can happen. It was like a test. And I really believe later, as I looked at it, that was a counterfeit escorting spirit, possibly going to give me a trip to hell. And I'm glad I did not follow that, as was happened to Howard Storm. Anyway, as you may know. But so then I turned back into my room, I'm just facing back into the room, and instantly, as soon as I did, the whole room just lit up with the most glorious white, bright light you've ever seen. Just beautiful. And it's just, but I could feel it was like a person, this love coming from it. It was just awesome. But it was so fast and such a flash. I was like, oh my God, this is wonderful. And then instantly I'm just sucked up, just like a vacuum into outer space. I'm just sucked out of there. And I was going so fast that you felt like if you had skin, your skin would peel off. You're going so fast through this tunnel of light. And, but yet at the same time, it took a little while to get there. And then we're just going, and I was aware of a presence with me. I believe it was an angel, possibly, because I didn't see anybody, but it's like I could sense that someone was there with me. And I knew even though I'm going through space, I was encased in like an invisible shield. I just call it like a heavenly chariot, is what I believe. And so then as we're approaching closer to heaven, then it begins to slow down the speed, just almost like taking a flight to another planet or to another place. And so as we're going, there's all these different colors, and it starts off with the dark purple, the violet, and all the shades of all the colors of the rainbow, down to the orange yellow and then to the bright white at the end. But as we go through each color, I could feel, literally, and it just came right into me, like I experienced it, not just felt it, I experienced it. Every color stood for like one of the attributes of God. I mean, like the royalty, the majesty, the love, the peace, the glory. I mean, all the compassion, so many things I felt through this. And it was just beautiful, almost like a conditioning before arrival. And so then when we got to the bright white, then I can see this is the entrance of heaven. And it's like I just step off this aircraft, I just stepped right on. And that's the way it seemed. And then I saw my grandpa first thing. And now he looked young, though, like no more than 33 years old, just early 30s, late 20s. And dark black hair, slender, he's Sicilian Italian, so he's dark skinned, he just looked great. And I thought, okay, this is my grandpa. That was, glad I didn't follow that. Anyway, but there's just a beautiful greeting there, and it's just I really was not that close to him here on earth because, for one thing, we didn't get to see them that often. They lived in Illinois. We would go and see them, and he'd come down here, but, we didn't see them on a regular basis. So I was never real close to him. I mean, I, of course, loved him, but in heaven, it was just like, wow, we were just bonded beyond belief, the family connection there. And it was just beautiful exchange that we had. Just, I'm just here greeting you for crossing over death to this life. And you have an appointment and you'll be fine, just go on, I'll see you later. So then he left. And I look over to my left and there's this huge crowd of people. I mean, just huge. And I knew that this was my family on both sides. And some of them I had never met before because they were from many, ages before. And ancestors. And so a lot of them they were just beaming with such love and they just look beautiful. I mean, they're just glorious. Everybody's just like at your perfect best and young looking. But I knew, even though everybody looks young, I knew a lot of those have been around a long time. You could tell you just could sense that. And I knew they all knew me and they were welcoming me so beautifully and just so much love and compassion, just like we're expecting you, And I thought, well, I don't know many of these, but I know these are all family. And so they were just loving on me, and I just walked up, and they're just, like you have, you're here for a visit, and just this different exchange we had, but it was just a warm welcoming. Then all of a sudden, here comes this other man over, and I believe that I didn't know for many years. I always wondered who was it? I kept thinking, was that my grandpa? But no, it wasn't exactly. He looked similar. But I believe the Lord revealed to me several years back that was, in fact, Abraham from the Bible, because he was, Abraham's bosom was at one time in the upper regions of hell in the earth. Now, of course, I believe in the Bible and all this. At that time, I didn't know any of this. But the Lord has revealed to me since then. And so when that was taken up to heaven, when Jesus went into the earth, into upper regions and, held captivity and took them up to heaven, well, then now paradise, that was Abraham's bosom, which is paradise in heaven. And it's all heaven, but it just surrounds the city. And so Abraham is like, and I'm sure there's many, but he was like the guy for me. And so I thought, okay, that makes sense, And anyway, so he's telling me, he says, he's looking at me and he says, welcome, and just take this all in. Just take your time. Just enjoy it. Just take it all in. And I'm just looking at everything, just absolutely mesmerized with everything I'm seeing. It's just like beyond paradise. Nothing beyond anything you can imagine. The colors are so vivid. It's almost like liquid color, pulsating. Everything's alive in heaven, of course. And I mean, just vibrating with such life and just liquid. And you experience everything. I mean, it just comes right into you, your very fiber of your being, your spirit. And so the colors and the flowers and the trees and I saw creatures, but it was like, they're almost like human because they talk to you. Even the flowers are swaying back and forth and just talking about the love of God. I could feel, I mean, they're praising God and I could feel their love. And they're singing, literally singing voices. I mean, you could hear, I know this sounds crazy, but it's absolute truth. That's what I couldn't get over. I thought, wow, I've never seen such flowers and all the colors, not just the flowers and the paradise and the beautiful meadows and just all the nature, waterfalls, everything, like fountains, just glorious. But also even hues of colors in the air. It's like just in the atmosphere, like when the light would shine, like on Earth, when the light would shine through a window and hits the light at a certain angle, it makes that rainbow color. This is everywhere. And so I was just mesmerized. Anyway, he tells me, he says, you have an appointment to meet the king. And I'm thinking, okay. And then I look over there, and all these people to the right, now it's kind of like a valley over here to my right, just kind of goes up. There's a lot of little hills and meadows, and there's just a crowd over there, and they're all just kind of, bustling around, and, oh, here he comes, here he comes. And I thought, what are they looking? So I look over to the left, and there's little rolling hills over here to the left, just in the distance, and I could see it looked just like a round ball of fire. It just sat down on the earth, and it's just moving slowly across those hills. And I thought, wow, I wonder what. So I'm looking at this too. I wonder what this is. Anyway, and he comes to the top of the hill. It takes a little while, and then when he gets to the top there and he starts approaching, I could see there's a form taking place in this light. And then as soon as I recognized, I see the face, I said, oh, I know who that is. That's Jesus Christ. I knew immediately. And mind you, at that time, I had just been raised in the Catholic Church and really was not, going to church at that time or anything, not living like that at all. But I had been born again as a child. And I didn't really realize that for many years. But anyway, as I get on the story, you'll see why I say that. But I just knew, though, by my spirit, I knew, okay, that's Jesus Christ. Wow. And then, he said, yeah, go ahead, go up to meet him. So I'm going up this hill to meet him. And as I keep going, all of a sudden, at some point, I just began to lose strength. I got very weak. It's like I couldn't go any further. I couldn't make myself go. And Abraham said, come over here. He said, I want to give you something. Come over here. And so he showed me over there to the left. And I could see also the beautiful blue with gold mixed with like diamonds in it, the river of life. And these shrubs, like trees of life, on each side of the river. And they all got fruit. And he shows me right here. He says, now here's some fruit. He said, I want you to take this fruit and eat it. And so it looked like kind of like a cross between a apple and blanked out. What do you call it? Anyway, it's a peach. And so, kind of a copper color, just not very big. And he says, just take and eat. And so I picked it off. And when I did, everything is spirit in heaven, spirit material, yourself and everything. And it was just so easy. And I guess I just I thought, I don't know if I got it. So I let go, and I thought, and then I looked down, and it had already disappeared. And then I looked, and there was another one just grew out right there in that same place. I mean, it was just instant. And I said, oh my gosh. And he just looked at it. He said, don't worry, you can't mess anything up here. And I said, okay. So I took it off this time, put it in my mouth. And I mean, an explosion of just power and strength and love of God just saturated me. I mean, it just my whole being. It was more than just a taste. It tasted so quenching of hunger and thirst, but at the same time, it just exploded. I just felt this power. I said, oh yeah. He said, now you can go up to meet him. I look at it like this. On that, I was a spiritual baby. I really did not have enough development spiritually to be able to stand that, to get up that close to him. I had not really been walking the life, or anything. And so, anyway, so then when I did, and then I was able to go up real easy. And I went up there, and I stood right in front of him, face to face. And I mean, of course, that was the greatest part about being in heaven, that obviously. But his eyes, just so much love and light and beauty. He's very handsome, and I'd say about 6 foot, maybe a little less, and just regular size, slender. And he had on like a white robe with a blue sash. And I saw his bare feet, and his skin's bronze, just not real dark, but just kind of middle. And his, I was just looking into his eyes, was everything. I mean, just so many waves of love was just beaming off him. He's just saturating me with it. And I'm feeling really a little bit exposed, because I'm knowing, I have not been living right. In fact, I was out doing something. I was out last night, my parents didn't know, because I was still living at home. And so I was just feeling a little bit, I thought I was doing something so bad, but I was just in disobedience, I wasn't living for him. And so feeling really, oh gosh, I know he is reading me, like just scanning with those x-ray eyes from birth to future to death, my whole life. And as soon as I felt that, because I know he wants to show me his love, not that was okay, because he knew what I was going to do later, but he's just washing me with his love, compassion. It's just like his understanding and compassion was just tangible, such a balm coming through me. And I just melted under it. I was just, I couldn't it was just hard to contain this. But it was just so wonderful. And I'd never wanted to leave him. I thought, oh my God, everything I've ever wanted, wished for, desired in my life is right here in him. I mean, I can see it in him. Everything makes sense. I understood everything. Everything made sense on everything in his presence. And yet I have not retained all of that back, some of it, yes, but not all of that back here. And so, but in that place of all wisdom and all knowledge, I'm standing right there, and I just did not want to leave. And of course, he knows. I mean, you just communicate spirit to spirit. You just think a question or a statement, he answers. You just hear the answer. You don't really use your mouth to talk. And that's the way it is with everyone up there. And so I'm saying, like, well, what is he? You're in heaven. He said, it's not your time. You need to go back. You don't, you really don't need to stay. And I was, I did not want to go back. And so, there's just this conversation back and forth there. And anyway, I just was, I was just going to say, and the fragrance in heaven is just off the charts too. I still smell that fragrance in times of when God's manifesting, in times of private prayer, corporate, whatever. I mean, I still do. And I just say it's the fragrance of heaven, phrases of Jesus, and of prayers. But anyway, so he's, just no, you need to go back. You need to go back. And I said, well, why, how did I get here? What happened? He said, you haven't completed the blueprint I have for your life. And Satan disrupted and tried to stop it. And then he's telling me, he says, you need to go back. He says, I have a work for you to do on the earth. You need to go back. And I just, did not want to hear that. And then another point, I'm feeling this pull, and I can see these look like little twinkling, almost like incense, twinkling lights of mist coming up, and I could feel it. And he said, those are the prayers that your family's praying for you. And I could feel it trying to pull me back. He said, and it's within my will for you to go back, so I have to answer those prayers. And he knew that's what I thought, of course, because he knows everything. He knew the future. He knew later I'd commit my life. I'd understand it all, and he'd explain it, which has happened. Glory to God. Anyway, so I just thought, okay, can't chance that. I said, yeah, all right. I don't want to chance that. I'll go back. He was so pleased. His whole face just lit up, the most beautiful smile. And he tells me, he said, just like he didn't even have to speak it. I heard from him. I just could hear, he said, you've made the right decision. Great. I'm pleased, very pleased. So I felt good with that. And then next thing I know, it's like I'm just back. It's funny because I don't really remember the trip back as much. It just seemed like it was all of a sudden I'm back. And I would just remember entering the roof of the hospital, coming in through the top there. I remember exactly what that roof looked like. And there was a shoe up there, just things that you see. And I remember that. And so just, of course, you just go right through everything. Spirit goes through everything. And I come right into the third floor, into the room, into my body. Whether I went through my mouth, just laid down or what, I don't know. I just got into my body. And immediately, of course, I felt the pain. But there was a taste of like honeysuckle. It's really kind of strange. When I took my first breath, it was like the honeysuckle taste. It's just a quickening, like back to your body. And then I'm back in my body. And then shortly after, I don't think it was very long after that, maybe just almost immediately, I began to wake up, I think, because I was just still like in heaven, laying there. I'm still I'm just caught up in the spirit. I'm over in that realm so much more than here. And my brother and my father was on the side of the bed at one point there, and my dad was trying to get me to, I obviously was waking up to some degree because he was trying to get me to drink some more water. And he kept saying, can I be your doctor? Talking to me like I was a little girl. I was like 17. And anyway, I said, yeah, you can be my doctor, I'm just going along there. And he says, could just drink some water for me. And so I started drinking the water. And anyway, I didn't tell them anything about this. I'm still just so mesmerized. And then next thing, my mother's up there. And when she was there, that's all I talked about. She said, I just kept going on and on. And I do remember talking. I was telling myself, Mother, I just kept talking. I didn't even say where I'd been. I just said the most beautiful, wonderful colors you've ever seen in your life. Colors we don't even have here. And it's just awesome. It's awesome. I said, I saw Grandpa. I saw Jesus. It was just beautiful. The flowers. I kept going on about the flowers and the colors. And that was just not a normal way for me to even talk at, at that age, at that time. So she knew something magnificent had happened. And I really did not tell very many people, just my mother and a few close friends, because it was so sacred to me. I thought, first off, they're just going to think it was imagination or a dream, or, they're not going to believe it. But so I didn't really share it with many people for a long time.